think you got that. Right, good morning Rescue Associate Consultants or potential Rescue Associate Consultants, and we have Neil on the phone as well. This is our fourth training session now on a Thursday, and what we're doing is we're doing a drop-in session every Thursday at 9:30 to 10 o'clock for a bit of networking, and from about 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock we're doing an hour stint telling you about how you could become a consultant. We've got slightly two completely different audiences today, where we've got one Milan Patel here, who's our very experienced consultant in terms of he's got a lot of property background and knowledge, and also fully paid sort of professional consultant now, although he's only joined us about 3 weeks ago. And we've got a brand new beginner, well, not beginner, but a very knowledgeable gentleman here, Neil McLeese, who's been in the property industry for a long time, and specialises in off-market properties now, and has got probably a breadth of different types of clients he provides services for either selling or buying, sourcing, etc. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, if you can give me a quick intro about yourselves, about 3 key points, and what your interest is, and then what I will do is then I'll aim to satisfy your questions for the purposes of this presentation, but also give you about at least 10-minute very basic understanding of what we're doing, so that from a beginning point of view, how you start, Neil, you're clear about that, and from more of a technical point, I'll go into anything specific that Milan wants to cover, which is more around maybe specific product sets, which may be a bit technical, but I'm happy to actually cover those points as well. So Neil, do you want to give us 3 points about yourself?
Involved in sales since 1990, in the mortgage game from 2002 to 2008. I'm now specialising in off-market property, where we have access to around about 400 properties dotted around the UK.
Excellent. Okay, so I think there's a lot that we could be doing with Neil, so I'm going to give him an intro to the basics of what we do in a second. And I'm going to quickly ask Milan what the 2-3 key points about himself. So we've got an introduction for other fellow consultants who will be watching the videos in times to come.
Well, the first one is tax, finance, and inheritance tax, the 3 things I'm passionate about.
Okay, perfect. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the very basics of the program, give you like a bit of a history as well, Neil, about who we are, how we've started. So this is something I pretty much repeat every week, and I'll be repeating regularly every week for about 10 minutes. So my background is corporate, been in corporate life for 20 years, and the last 30 years been doing property as well. I've run a property portfolio of about 100 properties. I've been made bankrupt in the past, about 10 years ago. So been through the rigmarole of actually having everything, losing everything. So based upon that experience in the corporate life, we came up with the concept of actually helping people in financial distress, almost like being the Robin Hoods of the landlords. And that concept is very diverse and different from anybody in the property market, because what we're doing is we're focusing on consultancy model, but we're not really looking at, we're not looking to buy anything from anybody or have an investment interest in any of their assets. So what I want to do is now cover what that involves and how this can be an income opportunity for somebody like yourself, Neil, who's quite new to understanding what we do. So number one is we have 6 or 7 areas of business that we specialise in. The main thrust of the business is actually specialising in distressed assets, where we help people who've got negative equity or they've got repossession issues. So about 60 to 70% of the business that we do is in that field. So because of that type of work, all the other service or business units or products and solutions that we have fall into line. So typical example of somebody coming to us would be somebody who's got maybe about 10 properties. They've got 5 that may be slightly highly geared and 5 that are lowly geared, and they're trying to work out, you know, what they should be doing. Should they be holding on to them? Should they be putting them into a limited company? If it's slightly highly geared, then they would fall into negative equity. If they've got some arrears issues, they might fall into repossession. If it's lowly geared, then they've got potentials of growing or investing into something. All very basic stuff for you, Neil and Milan, in terms of those positions. But what happens is that we can deal with every eventuality. So if you're in a good position, you've got a couple of hundred development projects under your belt, you're looking for more projects, then you could be sitting on our panel of buyers. We could offer you tax solutions, ability to raise finance, joint venture funding. We could be offering you a whole host of cost reduction services. We could be offering you some litigation services. You might have a bridge that you've got a technicality on it, and you've gone into arrears, and the bridger might try to be clever with you. So if you're in a good position, we're able to offer you a whole host of very basic, somewhat traditional things that you can get on the market anyway. But the advantage you have with us if you're in a good position is that we're a one-stop shop. So the way that would benefit you, because you want to know about the benefits and features, I understand, Neil, is that if they know that you can provide them a whole host of services, it's going to make whatever you're doing on the off-market scene more sticky. So when you're talking to people that are distressed or they've got a good financial position, in order to actually keep them on your books and actually develop a better relationship with them, if you said something different to them, like say, look, John, we'd like to put you onto our panel. I know you've got £1 million cash to purchase assets, but let me find out a little bit more about yourself. Let me know a little bit more about yourself in terms of what you do, and do you have a good accountant? Do you have, when you're purchasing assets, are you saving CGT when you're selling them on? When you're holding assets, are you putting them into a limited company? Let's assume that you're a high net person, they've got a lot of money trapped in their pension. Did you know that you can actually release 60 to 70% of your pension, even before the age of 55, into a business? Not a property business, by the way, but like a property investment business, but any other business, and we've got experience in doing that. So basically we're a one-stop shop, and they don't have to go many other places for actually getting those solutions. So we could do business consultancy for them, we could do tax structuring, protection, we can do sales, sourcing, restructuring, JV funding, development funding, buy-to-let funding, unsecured funding, secured funding, bridging funding technically, secured bridging the same. So when they feel that you've got all those things and you're actually deep in each one of them, you're going to get a different response from them, because they begin to realize that you can do a lot of complicated things. That's at the very beginning level as a benefit. Now, what you want to do is, there's about 20 things you do. You want to actually say there's about at least 3 things that you're doing that are really beneficial to them, that are actually going to create a big difference. So, which are like little nuggets. So you could say, look, we just did the bridge for somebody in 3 days, and they couldn't really get the funding that quickly anywhere else, and we were able to do that in 3 days. But typically bridging takes between 10 and 15 days at the quickest, but it can take even up to 4 weeks if you're doing prime bridging lending, using prime lenders or companies like Together, or which are quite big, or Mast Haven, or Commercial Acceptances, Octopus, all these sort of larger companies. But we're able to actually use private lenders, so you can do things extra quick. And if they know that you can do specialist things that they can't do, and you can solve problems for them, you're going to be in their good books. So it's all about creating a long-term position with them to make sure that they've got benefits that they can't get otherwise. So that's somebody in a good position. Second situation is that you've got clients that have got maybe something like 70 to 80% loan to value, but they're not quite sure whether they're in a good position or a bad position. So we could do an appraisal for them, or we do something called a client health check report, where they pay £350 for that report, and you get £50 from that as your fee in terms of time spent. It's a very basic report, but it gives them all the issues that they may or may not consider, or they may not even want to accept. But once they understood their bad position, or the situation that, well, not quite a bad position, but they may think they're in a fantastic position, but they may be bad, because anybody that's in about 75 to 80% loan to value, if they're trying to sell, there may not be much of a margin there in terms of coming out. Not only that, if their cash flow is nominal in terms of profit every month, then they're technically on a break-even portfolio with a sort of fairly highly geared portfolio, and they may be in somewhat denial, thinking that they haven't got a problem. So that type of client, we can provide pretty much the same sort of services, but we can also do like analysis or audit on their portfolio and help them to recognize the problems they may have going forward. The third type of client that we get, the last one and this are the typical ones that we deal with, but because of this, we get a lot of clients with money coming to us because they want to buy distress from us. So the third typical type of client is somebody's got negative equity, they've got maybe a repossession issue. We can stop repossession within 24 hours anywhere in the country. They've got maybe receiver issues, LPO receivers, which is they've got into arrears by a couple of months, and Mortgage Express have decided to go in and actually take their whole portfolio over, and they don't realise they've got collateral charge across the whole portfolio, and they just think that they're risk-free, but they're in a bigger problem than they think. Or there may be a householder and they've gone into arrears and they've got to go to court, and they've got a court hearing next week and they don't know quite what to do. So we specialise in all those areas in terms of helping them. So the analogy I like to give you, Neil, and Milan's obviously heard this one many a time now, is that we are like Mercedes as well as the AA of the sort of property industry, so the RAC. That means we can do emergency breakdown. We've got the MOT station, so we can just do the basic stuff. We can do the servicing, but we can do crash body repair, but we can also help you buy a new car or trade it in. We can even get you finance contracts. So we're basically a one-stop shop in a nutshell, to be able to solve any problem under one roof, but with a fresh edge, because our angle is pretty much advisory. We're not looking to actually purchase any assets from anybody, but obviously to get them out of trouble or to make sure they get a quick sale or optimize their position, we would help them to sell, but we wouldn't necessarily buy ourselves. We'd actually offer it off market to our clients, a bit like things that you're doing, but on a more of a our pipeline is actually a bit some way stronger because it's actually in our control, because we're controlling the supply chain. So that gives you the broad background of the type of clients we're dealing with. The question is, how do you create income from that, and how does it benefit somebody like yourself who's actually specialising as a sourcing broker, somebody who's actually sourcing property and actually getting property sold, but you're also having to find them. Now, very simple benefits are that every time you're speaking to a seller, a motivated seller, the deal may not stack up. It may be negative equity. You may not be able to do anything with it because there may not be cash flow. At the moment, those properties you're going to have to walk away from. So you've got a lot of wastage, which you could be actually taking advantage of and passing to us, and we could be converting basically scrap metal into gold. So we are somewhat like salvage dealers. We actually salvage things and create something that doesn't quite work for people into something that is workable. So let's just take a couple of simple case studies so you see what we do. We've just had a client come in from Newcastle who's got 25 properties. their negative equity, but he's also done quite well for himself. So he's got about £1 million unencumbered house that he lives in. And he's also, on top of that, he's got a couple of other assets which are unencumbered as well. And he's got a business as well. So what we're doing is, the reason he's come to us is that one of the banks are trying to take one of his properties back because it's come to end of term, which is in negative equity. Now his negative equity is huge. The value of his assets is about 900,000, but the debt is about 1.5. Now that's a big problem, so £600,000 loss there, but he doesn't have to structure that problem out. So what we would be doing is we were doing the litigation work to stop that issue with the bank. We'd deal with his good money he's got and help him to make sure that's structured out. That we would actually have to have a face-to-face consultation with him, actually look at what's the best way of dealing with it. So we do something called an asset appraisal contract, where we do an asset analysis and look at all the problems he's got. Then the negative equity properties, we've got a program, which is one of the programs that Lisa works on here, where we would actually take those on and actually negotiate those debts, actually write those debts off, which would be a fee as well. And then there may be a requirement, because of what we're doing for him, about him to maybe sell all his negative equity properties, as well as a couple of other unencumbered assets, because of the way we're structuring all these things for him. So by default, Neil, we've created a position where we're doing off-market sales, but we're doing the whole shebang. We're just like a one-stop shop. But we're not interested in taking them on from an off-market sale perspective. We're just taking them on to actually solve the problem. So if you bought, for example, a client that on the table, but you wanted to work on the off-market sales of those properties, whether they're distressed or not, then we would actually pitch them through back to you first once we've got them tidied up, ready or packaged up to be sold, because the client may not be in a mental position of clarity to be able to sell them in the way that you would be easy. So you'd have to do a lot of hard work to try and get underneath the bonnet to convince them. But with what we do, we would actually get it already packaged, give clarity on it, and once they've actually signed up on the dotted line, then it would be easier for you to actually get on with your job rather than having to do a lot of admin and paperwork. Which is another question or Q&A question that we could come on to at the end. So that gives you a scenario. Let's say that each of the service lines charge about £2,500 each. That's about £10,000 worth of services, and we would then take 10% of anything that's made, actually give that to you, so that'll be £1,000 in your pocket once you've actually got the fees in from the client and actually delivered the service. Now, what you would want to do is make sure that if you did actually make a couple of sales, let's say we sold let's say about £1 million worth of property, and we charged about £20,000 worth of fees or something, then you get another £3,000 on there. So you're looking at about £3,000 of fees from this particular client. But what you've got to remember is that if you didn't want to get involved in any of this, apart from just the introduction, you could do that. But if you wanted to get involved in the meetings we've got, understand the process, and actually grow your understanding of what we're doing, then you could attend the free 1-hour consultations that we do, and we'd also keep you updated so you actually learn from the process of what we're delivering to the client. So that's a scenario in terms of fee structure. Now the other question is, there's lots of people that actually not that as experienced as you in property, Neil, and they just want to get into making money straight away, and but they don't really have the sophistication in property as you may do because of the amount of years you've been in the property industry, Neil. What will happen with those is that they come in. You may find that they may even be more successful in terms of hitting £5,000 or £10,000 of income from this model, because all they're going to do is just source leads. And if they speak to 20 people in a day, say, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 people converting. into some form of business, either a bridging finance or negative equity client or a litigation issue or a possible sale. So if they just bought one client in per day for making 20 calls, and let's say they bought in about 5 meetings and we converted one of them, you're looking at potential income of £5,000 to £10,000 easy per month, if that's what you were able to do. Now that's the beginner's introduction to the business opportunity, and what we do is we charge £50, you could say it's a nominal fee for an online training, online mentorship that we give you. And basically you can go to our website rescuemyproperties.co.uk and go to become a consultant, pay the £50 and just let us know that you've actually paid that, and then what we would do is send you passwords for about 8 hours worth of online mentorship. But if you're a bit more serious, like I think Neil and his business partner Ali Menzies are, then you want to get fully engrossed in what we do. What we're doing is, and you want to build up a team and a structure and actually grow with the company, what we do is every Thursday, 9:30, we do a networking, 10 o'clock is a seminar, and once a month, the end of the month, normally on a Tuesday, we organise a full event with speakers, and we get between 20 to 30 people turn up every month. We've just launched that this week, so we're looking for maybe about 40 people coming next month. So that's going to be an excellent platform to actually hear this conversation again about the income opportunity, but there's also excellent opportunity to actually go and network with other consultants. But it's not a mandatory for you to attend that, but what we want to do is get you networked up with other consultants, so you can probably share other leads that form parts of your business anyway, such as the off-market deals that you're doing with Neil. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that gives you the sort of broader brush of everything we do. What I want to do is touch upon the products and services a bit more detail. Then I'll come on to some of the some ways it sort of covers both of what you wanted to know, which is Milan wanting to find out more about tax and planning and finance.
Continue development finance.
And I think you just wanted to get a broad brush of the products and services, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't think we've had a chance to email you this morning yet, but we'll send you literature explaining all the products and services to you. But what I'll do is I'll cover the main areas of business that we're getting in, and some of these areas because your broking background, Neil, you have a lot of knowledge about anyway. So let's cover off one that, let's just cover off finance very quickly. So I'm just going to rattle off lots of case studies very quickly. So finance, development finance is one that we just mentioned. What we can do is offer typical development finance, so it's typical like 70% in and 100% on development. That's typically what we can do with experience. Now, if you haven't got experience, and it tends to be a bit more expensive, and it tends to be private funders or smaller bridging companies, which are not prime, but they tend to be mid-sized sort of commercial. Yeah. If it's a case as a bigger project, let's just say the cost of development is more than 3.5 million. We've got funds that we can talk to, at least about 4 funds that offer a percentage of the net profit. So one actually takes 30% of the net profit. They're a £1 billion fund. We've got another one where they will do enhanced planning with you if you own the site, and they will get you 100% funding as well, or close to, and they'll split the profits with you 50-50, but they operate in the southeast. The first fund I mentioned actually operates anywhere globally. Other types of funding are bridging. We can do bridging anywhere in the world in the main countries, and not in the war-torn countries. We can also offer bridging with our own ability to bridge as well, up to about £100 million worth of funding that we've got ready, which we're in fact in the process of actually drawing down upon in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we'll have access to our own private funds, which is being negotiated at the moment, but we also work with about 20 private funders. The problem with private funders is that they tend to be very sort of like tight on their criteria, what they will and won't do. We normally need speed, or we need things which people may not want to lend to easily, so we're moving more towards a private funding route. So it's all commercial finance, but we also work with specialist houses that do the bog standard resi and buy-to-let stuff. So we'd actually pass clients on to them, and actually so we can offer a fully comprehensive service. Any questions about the development side there, Mela? Any further questions?
What kind of rates do you offer? I know that's a general question.
Standard rates tend to be around 6 to 8%, but if it's all depends on the collateral of the person and their credentials. And if it's development, typically they tend to be around 6 to 8%. If you're doing 100% funding, or you haven't got much experience, then it can be a lot higher. It can be about 10 or 12% as well. Obviously, if you're making a margin and you're borrowing at 10 or 12%, then it's not too bad. But we do work with international banks as well. So if you're looking at larger funding than £4 or £5 million, you can look at it on a case-by-case basis. So we've been able to get funding as low as 2.75% as well on commercial. Okay. Now, the other areas is tax. Another product. We've got trust structures that we work with where we can eliminate CGT, income tax, and IHT. Don't want to go into too much detail on that, but let's say we need to actually meet with you, understand your situation, and we've got set structures that we can use to do that depending on your, depending on how sophisticated you as your investor. But most people that have got maybe 3 or 4 properties don't really want those sort of services because it's too complicated for them. So we target people that have maybe got 20, 30 properties with maybe 50-60% gearing, who are looking to flip properties but they want to be restructured. So we've got a whole host of solutions around the tax. And we work with the whole of market, but we work with the top 10 sort of trust restructuring companies in the country. Okay, what I'll come on to is I'll focus on maybe 4 or 5 products so that it doesn't get too complicated. We also at the distress side we act as litigators with the receivers. So recently we just had a client come in from Bedfordshire who's got 3 assets worth about, he's got a sale on by the 31st of March for 3 million. The current debt on those assets is about 1.2, but he's gone into arrears on one of those assets. We had a mortgage with another bank on one of them for about 350,000, but he's gone into arrears. So what's happened is the bank has now appointed receivers and they've changed locks, or trying to change locks. So the client's approached us just before that was about to happen, about a week ago, but we've managed to stop the receivers and delay them till the 31st of March with our knowledge around LPA receivership, which is the Landlord and Property Act 1926. There's no precedent set in that in law 25. There's no precedent set in law regarding the LPA Act, so most of it is grey. So this client actually came to us and said, look, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go to court and do this, this and this, but we knew they didn't know what he was talking about, and we told him that, and he goes, well, I think he thought he knew what he was doing, but he actually, I think he was just trying to be clever, but he knew that it wouldn't work, and I think he was just wanted to try and test to see really whether we knew what we were talking about. And we told him that he didn't know what he was doing, and actually he's a bit clueless about what he's doing. So I think that's when the penny dropped and realised that, okay, well, these guys do know what they're doing. So this is quite a high net guy, probably 20-30 million portfolio, a lot of it unencumbered. So he couldn't solve this problem. So we charged him £2,500 and solved the problem for him. But that technically could be, it's going to be about £1.8 million worth of money that he's going to be able to get into his pocket based upon our work that we've done for him. So that's the LPA side. Stopping repossession. We just had a client. Well, we get lots of clients, but let's just say we can stop repossession within 24 hours anywhere in the country. Typically, what we tend to do is we tend to go in on a residential basis, where we go in and stop the possession normally to see if there's any loophole in terms of the bank's done. If not, we try to get them financed out. If not, then we would actually organise an off-market sale to go back to the bank and actually stop the possession. So all these strategies, I'm sure Neil probably is aware of and actually done them numerous times. Is that right, Neil?
I've come across them a few times. I've been to court in the past asking for stay of executions, etc. So, it just gives you the breathing space to manoeuvre and come up with a solution.
Exactly. So we're specialists in that, and we tend to be dealing with maybe 10 or 15 cases at any given time in a month where people have got that particular type of problem. We've just had a client who's got quite a large, as you say, GDP portfolio in Shrewsbury of about 4.7 million, and the property's gone into receivership, and so we're working on refinancing that. Also, we've got a finance lined up, a sale lined up, and we're also now scrutinising the documentation around how the bridging's been provided. And that all comes back down to the information we get provided. The information's no good. There is only so much we can do for the client. But if the information is accurate and the client's actually factual with us, we can only work with what we've got. So that's the way it works. Okay. So in terms of product sets, what I want to do, Neil and Milan, is that there's a standard pitch to try and get customers in. And we pretty much say to customers is that we have the ability to solve any problem that you've got. So if you're going in as a problem solver, then you will get business. And if they haven't got any problems, then what will happen is that even if they haven't got any problems, they're more likely want to talk to you about the potentials of their business. So either way, we'll always get business because the model is so fine-tuned. So if you're an estate agent, you'll probably need finance services or help people who need help writing off their portfolios, whether there's negative equity or there's a possession issue. So there'll always be something that we can help with. If you're a mortgage broker, you may have a client who's actually facing a possession, but you don't have the legal nous to be able to actually stop the possession. So you bring those sort of clients in. And you may not have the ability to bridge within 20, get something out in 2 or 3 days. You may be able to do buy-to-let finance, or you may be able to do residential finance. You may have a prime bridging lending company, but they're not going to be able to act quickly and actually solve a problem like we do. Does that make sense? So we are pretty comprehensive in terms of all the services we can provide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of stop it there for a moment, and then I'm going to now go on to why it's worth paying £500 and actually becoming a fully fledged consultant. If you pay £500, basically you've got access to our support, our weekly, monthly meetings. You've got access to the head office, so you can actually set up any meetings you want here and bring clients in. And we're happy to actually talk to them and meet them on your behalf. And you can say your head office is here. You get business cards. You can also get placards, like proper polyethylene, what are they called? placards that you would get in office, as you can't see on the phone here, but it's proper like signs that we can give you for your offices if you want, for rescue my properties and immediate bank claims. We'll also give you like fully fledged sort of contracts confirming commissions that you would actually sign up. So all these sort of things that Milan is in the process of doing. He's got his cards now, and I think he's got his placard behind him as well, but he hasn't got his own one yet because he hasn't got an office. But if he wants to set one up in his living room or something like that, he could do. So I think that's pretty much the presentation done without getting into too much detail on everything. And we can do a quick Q&A now, and you can ask me more questions. I'm sure Milan's fired up to ask me questions about more development finance or off-market properties. But anything that I've missed, I'm happy to cover now. We've got about 10 minutes to discuss those. So do you want to fire off anything first, Milan?
On development finances, it's specifically on. There's obviously experience is important. So if people with no experience, can you provide?
People with no experience, we can get funding, but it tends to be more expensive and it's more difficult to attain. So if it's a project below £500,000
Yeah.
and they haven't got experience, to try and get cheap rates or funding is not that easy in development finance. Whereas if it's above 500,000, usually above £1 million, and you've got credentials and you've got experience behind you, you've done more than 2 or 3 projects, and you've got the track record in a limited company, then getting funding is easier, depending obviously on the project and its potentials as well.
So how are the commissions? Another thing I've been interested in the commissions if I introduce business under their clients.
So what happens is that anything that we can place, we give you 10% of everything we make. So what we look to do is we make, obviously, try to make as much as possible. We try to get the larger portion of the commissions, but if we're working with third parties, then the commissions get slightly reduced, but about 50% of the time we're direct, so we get a slightly higher commission, so we may get 50% of the overall deal size in terms of the percentage. So if it's 2%, we may actually get 1%.
Okay.
So that means that if you're getting even 10% of that, and it's a £2 million deal, we're talking about £2,000 or £3,000 plus.
Okay.
Any other questions from you, Neil, before we come back to Milan in a second?
Just on the finance, do you do anything along the lines of factoring or invoice finance?
What we do is we solve a problem. So we've got about 3 companies that we work with which we do business funding. We field it out so with 3 providers. So one of them does completely clean, super squeaky clean type stuff. So basically the answer is yes, we can do that, but we don't. What you got to remember is that we don't necessarily look out for that type of business. It just comes to us. So if somebody says, oh, can you do invoice factoring for me, or can you get? I need about £200,000 for my business. Here's all the details. Work out how to do it. So we look at bridging. We look at sort of asset based within the company. There may be it's a car hire company, and we can actually use the assets in the company. Look at the longevity of the company. We'll look at the directors and see if we can get any unsecured funding. So we would have about 10 different ways of actually skinning the cat. So I think I was telling you that we've just raised about £600,000 for quite a large sports organisation, where we've done 70,000 unsecured within 3 days for the accountant of the company, 40 grand against the brother of the director of the company. We've done second charge on the asset of the chairman of the company. We've done like a PG and based upon the turnover, and we've managed to, on the invoices, that sort of stuff. We've done some funding for that. It wasn't massive because it wasn't such a massive profit-making organisation. So we managed to get some funding out on that. So the sort of list goes on. So we would go in and actually look at solve those problems. But I wouldn't say that we're specialists on invoice factoring, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Then any other questions?
Just on your LinkedIn profile,
Yeah.
name is, sorry, very bad name is it Neil or?
This is a Neil McLeese, MCALEESE, is that right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you say you're a probate consultant, so what, do you have solutions in inheritance tax planning? You're a probate consultant for IDC Legal Services?
Yeah, I did that for a period of time when I came out the mortgage game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, very interesting.
So basically, we were linked with Bank of Scotland, Halifax, Barclays. Basically, Barclays had their call centre at ITC's offices, which was, in essence, if you went into the bank trying to get some money out, saying, "Oh, my dad's just died, here's his death certificate, here's his bank statements, can you have the money?" And they go, "Sorry, you need a grant of probate." "Oh, what do I do?" "See that phone there, go call the bereavement centre." So they would call that, I would go out and see them. So,
Okay.
yeah, I did that for a period of time. Can't say it was the most enjoyable job I've ever done.
Okay. And it says your residential commercial developments are from 550 to a billion. I mean, what kind of developments are those? £1 billion?
Sorry, I couldn't understand what you're saying there. It's a bit echoey.
You're saying that on your development projects is 550 to a billion, and just wanted to find out what type of projects the larger ones were.
In essence, the property stock that we have will range from £500,000 value up to we've got hotels and things like that, which are like some of them are 800 million. Well, one of the developments are up to about 50 million. So you know that's not the GDV, that's the purchase price off market.
Because I have a friend of mine who was in Dubai, and he actually works from South. He used to be part of one of the big banks as a director. He also worked for the sovereign fund, but his clients are actually the Middle East governments. The minimum size when he used to service for the bank was $1 billion. So anybody who had more than $1 billion, mainly the Middle East governments would be able to, he'd be acting on their behalf. He markets to them. So he's independent right now. He's quite a smart guy. We did our MBA together, but he's got access to that. So if you have these substantial kind of deals, and I can probably speak to him, and he's extremely well connected. He's been in Dubai for the last 15 years. He's actually been dealing with all these, in places like Saudi, it's very difficult to deal with. He's made a lot of money there, and he represents a lot of big financial companies like Hermes and all these companies. So he's very switched on guys. That's what I was asking, because he definitely has people who can look into these opportunities. I can't promise anything, but I can talk to him if it's something you can have,
Absolutely, yeah.
And also structure. He knows how to structure everything offshore, basically. So his girlfriend actually worked for one of the big offshore companies, company formation. So in Dubai, it's amazing. You can sell all sorts of things in Dubai. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you guys connect, and we're happy for you guys to actually network and actually connect between yourselves. But I think from our point of view, what you have from point of view of our services, you almost have going back to the companies. We've got one company called Rescue My Properties that specialises in negative equity negotiations and writing negative equity off. We've got immediate bank claims that does a lot of stopping repossession, LPA receivers, and house, residential stop repossession. Then we've got management consultants for you, which has got two divisions. One is the commercial finance, the other one is tax and restructuring. Then it's got about 5 arms actually, because we do a lot of business to business, sort of JV funding, restructuring. So it's quite comprehensive in terms of the different things it does. There's asset restructuring. And then we've got a sales and lettings arm, which is a completely different entity called In One Move Nationwide, which is a UK-wide sales and lettings company, but it does a lot of off-market type work. We don't really do too much online work, and we partner with quite a lot of B2B agents UK-wide, if that makes sense. So there's that organisation is probably the least developed out of all of them, but all the others are pretty developed. So we've got an in-house legal department that can go out and deal with things that most law firms aren't always capable of actually dealing with. It's too complicated for them, or they're too wrapped up in the red tape to want to be able to do anything on. As you well know, in the probate industry, how much red tape there is and what's going to be done. And when you speak to 3 different lawyers about you're going to probate and what you need to do, what forms you need to fill out, they say 3 different things. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. As soon as you move into IHT, it's a minefield. You've got to specialise.
Neil, I've got an IHT expert called Trevor. It took me 2 years to find him. I've got a guy called Trevor. He's an IHT specialist. I used to be a broker before. He actually, I've known him for the last, I think, nearly 15, 16 years. He actually services all the IFA networks. I think he's one of the best inheritance tax experts in the country. And he's been doing it for nearly 40 years. So he's expert, his trust work is excellent. He can put any, I don't like banks, I particularly don't like solicitors. I particularly don't like solicitors who actually do wills. They've got no clue. So if you want a really good expert in IC, I've got one. He's one of the best in the country.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think in essence, Neil, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover with you guys. And what I'm going to do is we'll get a bit more information over to you. And I think what I was going to say to you is that, in summary, we've got a finance arm, business consultancy, stock repossession, negative equity arm, and sales and lettings. So pretty much covering all the bases. And behind that, there's a team here. So, I think key thing for you is we're doing a presentation on the 28th of Tuesday, the 28th of March at ZZ's. So I'm expecting maybe about 40-50 people to come. So I think it's probably worth coming down to that if you've got time, and get to know more about what we do. So we'll be getting a couple of other speakers talking about specific topics. So I think Ali said you'll be coming down to that. I'm not sure whether you've got time or not. But what we'll do, we'll certainly send both of you emails telling you about the opportunities to just gauge what we're doing. But our business model is, like I said to you, is upside down compared to any other networks you go to, because we're not there trying to upsell things.
Yeah.
Where what we're doing is just basically going out and converting people who've gone to distress into income, but also helping them without necessarily taking advantage of their position, which actually works really well because it's quite a good long-term model. And now you probably heard today that there's going to be no growth in this country for the next 2 years. So because of our model is contrarian, it's basically we know there's going to be a problem. Property market's going to get tight. Whichever way you do it, whether it goes up or down, you'll make money both ways with us. Because we're specialising in contrarian, you'll have a better ear on the ground in terms of what's actually happening opposed to what you like to hear sometimes if you're in traditional sales. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, perfect. Well, thanks for your time, Neil. We'll get an email over to you. And Milan, okay? No other questions? All done?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, Neil, pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for your time. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.